If you're renting right now, this might sting a little because you could be missing out on thousands of dollars. Hi, my name is Jonathan Wells. I'm a loan officer with Leader One Financial, and I run the John Wells Group branch. My passion is to educate first-time homebuyers, much like yourself, to take you from the renting mindset to the owning mindset. Most renters think that they're playing it safe, but they actually could be losing thousands of dollars without even realizing it. Stay tuned for the rest of this episode, and I'm going to show you how you can turn your mortgage payment into a savings account. Now, let's provide some context as to why this matters. Did you know that 1 in 3 Americans under the age of 40 believe that they can't afford a home? But most people live in fear and don't ever see the actual math. So this may be the first time that somebody shows you how everything actually works. Now, before I go deeper, if you want to know how much you can afford with your current rental payment, I will include a free resource in the description below for you to check out and see just how much home you can afford with your current rental payment. So go ahead and download that free resource and let me know your thoughts. So here's why renting is more expensive than owning a home. First off, rent is 100% interest. You don't get anything out of the money you put into. You're making your landlord rich, right? A lot of the costs that you incur, as a homeowner, you're actually passing on to the renter or the tenant that you have in your building. So if you're thinking that you may be avoiding property taxes, maintenance costs, etc., that's already baked into what you're paying for your monthly rent. And rent rises, mortgages don't. Rents go up by about 3 to 5% per year, and mortgages stay the same if you're on a fixed rate. I'm curious to know, what's your rent right now? Drop it in the comments, and I'll do my best to reply to everyone and show you exactly what you could afford if you were to put that towards a mortgage. Now let's explain how owning builds wealth. When you own a home, you have what's called equity, an equity buildup. So what happens is you pay X amount of dollars for your home. Let's say it's $300,000. Over the next 5 to 6 years, that home is going to go up in value as you have, more inflation, more people coming through that are earning more income. As rates move lower, you always see home values move higher as a result of that as well. And so let's say 6 years from now, it's worth $375,000. Well, you just created $75,000 worth of equity, not including what you put down on that home when you purchased it, and also what you ended up paying off on the principal of that loan as well. And so that's really where you start to get a lot of equity and start to build some more net worth, is through the owning of the real estate and the equity that it brings to you as the consumer. Now, if this is beginning to open your eyes, don't wait till the end of the video. Grab that free calculator down below, plug in your rent and your zip code so that you can see exactly how much you can afford based off of your current rent. And I've had clients who've done this, it's opened their eyes and they ended up applying within the same week. Now let's compare renting versus owning side by side. I have a breakdown here to show you. If you look at the monthly cost, if you're renting for $2,000 a month, and that's rising over time, whereas owning, you could get in, you're at $2,250 a month. That rent's going to go up by 5% annually, whereas that $2,250 is going to be fixed for that whole 30 years. So after 5 years with renting, you've paid $136,617. And with owning, you've paid $135,000. So even though owning was slightly more expensive to start off, its renting has actually surpassed the cost of owning within that first 5 years. Now, principal paid with renting, you've paid zero principal. You don't get any of that money back from that $136,000 that you've paid. Whereas with owning, you're actually getting about $40,000 back from the principal you've paid off on that mortgage. Then the home value growth with renting, $0. With owning, we're looking at about $47,000. Then your cost to sell, renting, it's $0. With owning, it would cost you roughly $27,000 to sell the property, paying things like, real estate commissions, closing costs, etc. So your total net worth position with owning, you're actually up $60,000 over 5 years if you were to sell that house. Now, if you retain that house and you keep it for another 5 years, value of home ownership only continues to move upwards. So at the end of the day, it's the same money out. One builds wealth and one builds nothing. Now, let's talk about some common objections that people have when it comes to purchasing their first home. The first one is no down payment. Well, you're in luck. There's a lot of different programs out there specifically designed for first-time homebuyers where you can put down as little as 3 to 3.5%. And there's even some grant options that are out there as well if you don't have that much cash. For me, most of my clients, they spend around $10,000 all in on their first home. And if you don't have 10 grand, we can easily get you in for $4,000 to $5,000, depending on what grant programs you may qualify for. And a lot of people think that they need to have this cash saved up right now, when the reality is you can easily get a gift from your relatives, parents, maybe a bonus you're using from work, a tax refund. There's a million different ways for you to be able to get that income in for you to then use that towards your down payment. The second objection I get is, well, what if I decide to move? So at the end of the day, typically if you own a home for 5 years or more, you're almost always going to walk away with equity when you decide to sell it. And if you're in a market where maybe it hasn't gone up enough in value, or you've gotten underwater on the house, for whatever reason, you can always opt to rent it out as well as a part of your exit strategy. The third most common objection that I get is that renting is cheaper. Well, as we just showed you in that last graphic, not over 5 years. A lot of people like to compare what they've got currently versus what they could have, right? Give you an example. I had a client of mine who was comparing rent versus owning. They have a 1-bedroom apartment right now, and it's her and her husband, and they have 2 kids under 2 years old. Well, that rent right now is $1,400 a month, whereas the home that they were looking at was going to be about $2,200 a month. So if you look, okay, yeah, obviously renting is going to be cheaper significantly even after that 5-year period. But the reality of the situation is they're not going to stay in that 1-bedroom apartment for very long, because as their kids get older, they're going to need more space. And I'm surprised they're still there now. So if you look at the big picture, renting is actually more expensive over the long run. You get nothing out of it for being an amazing tenant. Now let's talk about some amazing client success stories that I've had working as a loan officer, helping my borrowers get into their first home. I had a client who was renting and paying about $2,100 a month. And they really didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel to where they could own. They had a couple $1,000s saved, and they were really looking for that home that would help them, lock in their payment, lock in their cost of living, and help them build a little bit of equity. Luckily for them, we were able to get them approved with a grant program. They were able to purchase that home. They closed on it, and 18 months later, we looked at the numbers. They had $35,000 worth of equity in just a year and a half. On top of that, their current mortgage is actually less than what their rent was. So this saves them money every month and puts more cash in their pocket. Now, if you stuck around this long in the video, you're clearly someone who wants to get out of the rat race and the rent cycle. So here's your next move. I want you to download that calculator so you can see just how much home you can afford and start getting in the equity game. Secondly, there's a link down there to schedule a free home buyers consultation with me where you can get 15 to 20 minutes on my calendar. We can brainstorm any ideas you may have about your upcoming move. Also, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. It helps me get more content out to more viewers like yourself. Just spread awareness, help educate, and get the word out on the equity game. And lastly, if you're ready to take the relationship to the next level, there is an application link in the description as well too. If you'd like for us to run some soft math and see exactly what kind of a purchase price you can get based off of your monthly payment goals. And to wrap up this video, let me leave you with just one thought. Whether you're renting or owning, you're paying a mortgage. The question is it yours or is it somebody else's? It's been Jonathan Wells here. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make it a great day. Bye.